I don't know if you've heard, but Metropolitan SACCO has just declared itself insolvent. What that means is that they can't afford to pay their bills. If they have any rent that they pay, they can't afford to pay that. They don't have money. If they have to pay employees, they don't have money to pay employees. They simply can't meet their bills. We're talking about any loans that they have with any financial institution. They can't afford to pay back those loans. They declared themselves last week, and what happened is that they discovered 7 billion was missing, and that 7 billion is what they need to bounce back into business. What's interesting is that the missing 7 billion has gone missing for quite some time. It's not something that happened in 2025. It's something that has happened over a period of time. You're talking about 2015 to 2016. We're talking about 2020. So all this money has been mismanaged for quite some time. Now is the time that they are discovering, or probably they even discovered earlier. It's just that now worst has come to worst. They can't continue running. They need the 7 billion to be back up. Majority of the shareholders to this SACCO are teachers and civil servants, but mainly teachers. The SACCO was formed back in 1977, and it was formed by teachers. It was a way for them to make it easier for them to access loans and to save money. So now we have 11,310 teachers who risk losing their deposits. We're talking about their savings. We're talking about their share capital, because if this goes down, it goes down with their money. Now the question is, where are we going to get the 7 billion? We must get the 7 billion because we can't afford closing down this SACCO. If we close down this SACCO, there are two things. One is that, of course, the members are going to lose their money. They're going to give in and say, we can't afford to pay you back your money. Now let's accept things the way they are. Of course, there's going to be losses. But the main reason why it can't afford to close down and it has to get the 7 billion, it's because if the institution is wound up, who is going to be held responsible? Who's going to be held responsible? Because now we are saying the people who stole this money can easily get away. The entity doesn't exist. This SACCO doesn't exist. So even if you're trying to take someone to court, who are we going to take to court? Yet the institution doesn't exist. Now there's a clause in the Kenya Cooperative Societies Act. It states that only the SACCO board members have the legal standing to sue or be sued on behalf of the SACCO. So if this SACCO closes down, we can only go after the SACCO board members. But the board doesn't exist since the SACCO now doesn't exist. So it has to bounce back. It must bounce back so that you can be able to follow up with the people who are responsible for mismanagement of funds, who apparently are the board members. When you even look at some of the issues that were cited, there were loan disbursements to non-existent members. Who has to approve those loans? The SACCO board. So the SACCO board is very much responsible for what is happening. That's why we can't afford to close this down. We have to go after these guys so that they're able to return the 7 billion that belongs to the teachers. Another issue arose back in 2022. There was auditing that was done on the SACCO, and it found out that there was 49 million that was withdrawn from one teller in one of the SACCOs. I think it was the Nakuru branch. How is it possible for someone to go and withdraw 49 million at a go? How is it possible? And the reason that was given for this 49 million withdrawal was that the money was being withdrawn so that they can have money to distribute to the members of the SACCO who had requested mobile loans. I don't even see if it makes sense. Why would you want to withdraw 49 million so that you can have money to disburse to SACCO members to their M-Pesa? This is just outright mismanagement of money, because we have systems in place that allow you to disburse money to people's M-Pesa without even withdrawing this money. So honestly, this is just a case of theft. There are also issues of false dividend payments. This one was back in 2020, I think in 2019 or back in 2020, where it was agreed in the AGM that they were going to distribute this amount of money as dividends. Apparently, some of the members received less dividends. This was back in 2019. There was also issue of there was also an issue of where some teachers were receiving salary cuts. Remember, this SACCO is mainly for teachers, and the teacher salaries pass through this SACCO. If your employer is paying you, let's say 40,000 Kenyan shillings, and it passes through the SACCO, and you receive 20,000 shillings, that's a cause for alarm. So this is what happened back then, and it's what caused an auditing to be done on this SACCO, and that's when they discovered that there were several millions of money that were missing. There was also another 177 million that cannot be accounted for. They can't find this money. Of course, we have the accountants who played an important role here, where they play around with the books of accounts. They know how to balance the figures such that you can't find this. There was also another 703 million that is missing from the year 2015 to 2022. The reason why I added this here, it's because look at the time period. 2015 to 2022. How are we going to get back this money that dates back to 10 years ago? Who are we going to hold responsible back in 2015? Do you think it's possible for the guys responsible for this mismanagement of funds to be found out? Do you think it's possible for us to have justice? Do you think it's possible for us to have this 7 billion back when some of the issues are dating back to 10 years ago? There was also another case where they bought land that did not exist. So what happens is, if you're a member and you contribute your money here, the SACCO is going to tell you, we used up 20 million. That is in the AGM. We used up 20 million to buy a plot of land that we're going to develop, and it's an investment that you're making. If we make profits from that, it's going to be shared to you in form of dividends. But they've bought land that doesn't exist. So that money has been pocketed somewhere. Those are some of the issues that we have with SACCOs. Honestly, with all these issues that have been cited here, which are common to us, we've heard about them, we've been hearing about them for quite some time. Do you still trust SACCOs with your money? Would you still save with a SACCO? Of course, there's that benefit of accessing a loan. And even when you think about the reason why SACCOs were formed in the first place, was to allow people to have access to financial services that were not accessible to people who are living in the rural areas, or to anyone who cannot access any financial service with a bank or with a microfinance institution. So SACCOs have made it easier for people who are at the grassroots levels to access loans that they can't access elsewhere. And even if they can still access those loans, they can access them at a cheaper price. So do you still trust SACCOs with your money? Would you still continue depositing your savings here? Of course, you're going to get the benefit of a cheaper loan. Do you still trust SACCOs? Because I know of people who are willing to take a loan from a bank in as much as it's going to offer them double the interest rate that you're going to get from a SACCO. Do you still trust SACCOs? And what do you think about this clause, where the people who are supposed to safeguard our money as members are the same people who are responsible for financial mismanagement, the ones who are supposed to be held accountable, who are supposed to sue on our behalf or get sued on our behalf, are still the same guys who are responsible for stealing our money. What do you think about this? Do you think this should be amended? This clause should be amended?